I bet you've never had lemon coffee. Hmm? But if you tried it, you take some instant coffee and you boil some distilled water in a boiling pan, and you put the distilled water, a cup of coffee, into the pan and let that come to a boil. But you also want to add a whole lemon of a juice. So you just cut that in half and you squeeze all the juice right into that boiling water. And then once that's finished, you go ahead and put that into over your instant coffee. And with that is a small piece of coconut oil and organic butter. And so and then you add a dash of Ceylon cinnamon and a dash of cardamom and a little bit of cayenne pepper, not too much. And you put this all into the mix and you stir it up with one of those spinners. You just let it stir really well till all the oils melt, and then you add some coffee creamer. It's condensed milk, and you put about maybe 2, sometimes 3 teaspoons, just for the right taste. And when you're drinking an alkalized body of water, you're getting all the effects of the coffee, but you take away the sting of the acidity of the experience of drinking coffee. Too much acidity in your body can cause havoc, and you don't want to go there. So you alkalize your coffee. Now, nobody's ever even thought to do something like this up until now. And I'm saying that everybody can come to these levels of awareness and start living a life that's more different than what we're experiencing. And that's the purpose of this video. Because we need to understand that there's a different way of living that's available for us to be living in peace, in love, in harmony, in an environment of creativity, a thriving of humanity, society, nations, communities, cities, everyone in cooperation, moving for the greater good of sustaining a world system that supports the livelihood of everyone on this planet. Now, this potential is at our fingertips, and we have to do everything that we can to start moving in that direction. Now, the chaos that's taking place in this world is a circus act. Okay? It's designed to keep your mind preoccupied, to keep your consciousness fixed in this worldly reality. And you get sucked up into that because that's all you can see, and that's what becomes more of your reality. It's designed to keep you stuck here, you see. They're trying to always put the smoke and mirrors right in front of you so that you can't see what's being done to you. So what we have to do now is just free ourselves from that system. And the way we free ourselves is by understanding who we are as human beings. Who are you? Do you know what life is? Do you know the potential of your power? No? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can know that potential. And it's going to take a process of getting you to where you're at and into this higher state of awareness. And when we move our life in a new direction, a direction that is going to be one where you are creating reality in a higher, different level of awareness, one that encompasses and values the principles of life, the principles of love, the principles of peace, the principles of harmony, that's cooperation, working for the greater good so that everybody wins. You see, everybody can win in this world if we just all embrace the principle of love thy neighbor as yourself. And the loving of yourself is the loving of God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Because when you're loving your neighbor, you are actually loving the Creator as yourself also. That's why that saying is there. To love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. But we don't understand the reality in its proper context. There's great meaning there. That if you come to that reality, the understanding of what that truly means, to love your neighbor as yourself, and yourself says to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Now, I'm not going to belabor the point. But you come to that understanding that everyone is this presence of God. Everyone. And so in that understanding, we can unite and start creating world systems that work to the advantage of the whole of humanity. And so this whole part of what I'm sharing with you is going to take you and show you how you can get out of this trap and free your mind and free your life's experience with a higher understanding of reality, the world that you actually do live in, right in front of you. And it's just a matter of perception. Your life is a matter of perception, and choice is how you change it. Now, these crystals here, right there in the throat chakra. Now, these are my friends because they help me evolve my consciousness. They ground me to the earth. And not only that, but they also energize the auric field that's emitting. And each stone has its own frequency. And what I'm holding in my hand is a piece of amethyst. Came from the earth. The energetic frequencies of the earth are embedded in this crystal. And the Schumann resonance, 10.83, is the same resonance of your brain. Okay? We live in a perfect reality in which this physical body can exist in an environment and thrive. All the resources are there for our ability to live on this physical plane. And everything is serving a purpose. The trees are serving a purpose, the water is serving a purpose, the earth of the ground is serving a purpose. What is the ground's purpose? To create food and sustenance for this body. You have to understand it at a very personal level of seeing it for yourself. You have to look into nature. Let nature give you the information that you need to understand on how to live your life. But it first comes to this understanding of who you are as a spiritual being that you are. Just elevate your identity of who you think you are from the 2.0 to the 8.0. Okay? You're 8.0 version of a spiritual life form. You're a spirit embodying a physical body. Physical body is just a suit that gets dropped when you're finished having this experience in this world plane. And you've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, millions of years, for millennia, actually. And so, when you come to a greater reality that you have this potential to experience life at the grandest scale, at the God level scale, universal intelligence everywhere, and you have this ability to perceive. You are perceiving the world around you. You are feeling the world around you. Okay? They don't want you to feel the world around you. They want to desensitize you. They want to distract you. And they're doing a very good job at it. It's all a charade. Every bit of it, on both sides. The left side, the right side, they're all in it together to create the greatest illusion of a kind of reality that is on this planet. By their rules. But there's a greater reality that actually does exist, and if we just look at it long enough, it will reveal itself to us. And then we start understanding how to use the materials that are around us. See, we live in a perfect universe. We live in perfect communication with the universal intelligence of, let's call this thing, well, that's what everybody calls it, God. The big G-O-D, in the sky, in the earth, in everything that exists is the manifestation of this Supreme Being. Now, I'm not telling you anything new. I'm just trying to tell you it from a different perspective. Come onto this side of the fence and see something different. Okay? In your dreams, you experience more of that reality. And you walk away with information that opens you up even further. And your consciousness is constantly expanding into these higher levels of awareness. Now, this crystal here will help clear out your auric field. It's got a high frequency. And you do this, the way you utilize this is by setting intention. An intention to have an effect. You see, you are the cause of the effect, my friend. You cause things to happen in your life. Everything bad that has ever happened to you in your life is a result of your wrong perception of what you were perceiving in the moment of that experience. Yeah. You take that experience and you think that that's reality because it felt real. It was just an experience. But you attached your identity to that experience, and so you made yourself unreal. And you came up with this identity crisis. You didn't know who you are anymore. You forgot who you were. You took on the imprints of that negative experience. And you became that. You became the victim. And you're the victim right now, and you can get yourself out of it by asking a question like, who am I? I mean, seriously, asking the question. First, even before asking the question, what is the purpose of asking a question if you're not going to have another person or another entity there to give you that information? To have a dialogue, to ask a question, and to get an answer. And the answer is always going to be the truth. Okay? You're having a dialogue with the universal intelligence around you. And that information is coming to you as new information, new understandings. And it's allowing you to experience the world around you in a different dimension. Now, this is all a matter of connecting with nature. Because all that negativity that's in your auric field, it's resonating in the bones of your material, in the marrow. It's vibrating in the muscles. That memory is a cellular memory that is there oscillating at a certain frequency that is controlling your thoughts. Now you can clear those thoughts with this material. You set the intention. I want to clean my field. And you hold on to this, and you go into a meditative state. I don't want to take too much time going through the process, but you come into this point, and you hold it here in your heart. Because your heart is manifesting a pulsation of electromagnetic energy. And it's almost like a Wi-Fi signal that goes from here to another person's heart. Or another life form, like a plant, a dog, a bird, a turtle. I love turtles. Now, when you actually make an intention to do something, it automatically starts to manifest. It does. Because the first point of manifestation is right there in the imagination. And that's what you see at first. The moment you see it, the potential's there to create it into reality. And so you start that intention and you start thinking about things. You are qualifying those intentions with your thoughts. The quality of your thoughts are the thoughts of frequency. Now, each thought is measured by frequency because you have the lower thoughts of frequency of hatred and anger and resentment, judgment, the intention to do war. Those are all lower frequencies. And so the higher frequencies is love. There's only one, really, only one. And everything else underneath it are emotional feelings, feelings that we perceive as being real. We have a sensory perception that is stemming from this center point of consciousness. This emanation of light that I am. I just happen to be occupying this body, but my spirit and the soul has the ability to move in and out of this body, to extend itself in and out of its auric field, and into the auric field of the life forms around you. And because everyone represents a source of information, personal information, their thinking is being registered in your auric field, you see. And people can read that just by stepping into your auric field. They know they can just see what you're thinking. Good thoughts, low thoughts, or higher thoughts with good intentions. Do you have bad intentions or do you have good intentions? That's all that really matters in this case. Because when you're governed with love, you're always in a good intention to do something right and harmonious and peaceful and joyful for the greater good of everyone else. That's an act of love. to be the cause of creating positive effects for other people to experience. That's the principle of love. And when we model our consciousness wrapped around that way of living, and we begin to express ourselves in that way and start supporting ourselves in a way of, hey, you've got a great talent, and I've got resources that can help you flourish. And then I've got another friend who can help on this other end. And so we've got your back. We want to see you succeed. You see, and that's the attitude that you bring to the table. There's a givingness about you that just wants to give, 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 give. The reason why it is that way is because there's an abundance of resources, of information that come in the form of ideas, great ideas that can be created in this world. Technologies, products, services, business models. Always improving the systems that you're currently working. You can improve it and improve it and improve it and improve it and keep improving it to infinity. That is the potential that we have as creators. We have the potential to create so many things that it's mind-boggling. And yet we're here stuck on this physical world, believing in a very upside-down world way of living. And it's a prison. And people need to be freed into this higher state of reality. And it just takes a shift. And it's not going to take another person to tell you. It's going to take someone like yourself to tell yourself. You have to experience it yourself. You have to come into these understandings yourself. You only do that by making a choice to do so. Because when you start focusing your attention in a certain direction, that's where the energy flows. The creative energy flows and moves in that direction of where you are thinking. And that's what gets manifested in you. And when you start thinking that, hey, I now live a very healthy lifestyle. I'm a multi-millionaire. I've got everything, all my needs are always taken care of. I feel free. I feel healthy. And now I feel like I just want to do something positive with my life. I just want to be a positive force in the environment. Like a Kobe Bryant. Imagine that man's life. The millions of lives that he has affected in a positive way. With the inspiration of his life and how we should all be driving to be the best that we can be. Always in the consideration of others. A great leader would have been a great leader for this nation. We need more of that type of leadership in this nation. But it's going to take people to wake up first, to realize the greater reality. Recognize that this thing called life on this planet, as you perceive it, is actually the workings of a supreme being. That thing we call God. And it can be experienced in a very personal way. And so if you're the type of person who wants to experience that, and you would like to have more reality in your life, then pick up one of these and make friends with it. And just set an intention to clear out your auric field, to clear out all the negative energies that no longer serve you. Here I am. presence that I am, please, I set the greatest intention to understand this thing called life. I want to know and feel and understand the truth of that which is. I'm not leaning onto my own understanding. I am only relying on that which you can show me as the truth. Now, you imagine, this is where the imagination comes into play. Because you can imagine yourself as this light being. And you've got this light in front, right in the heart center. And it's oscillating there. And it's a purple light. And because of that imagery, you're actually creating on the energetic level. That light is coming and surrounding you like a torus wheel that's flowing like a fountain up and around the body. And you're in this bubble of energetic field. And that's where your thoughts are. That is the consciousness. That's the field of consciousness of your centerness in your head. You are here feeling the energy around you. Imagine yourself feeling your auric field. Now, the moment you do that, you're going to feel a vibration on the surface of your skin. And then you may start feeling intense heat, or it may become very chilly. Now, in and of its own, you are creating a physical reaction just with your intention. And this crystal here is amplifying the process. It's an energy source, you see. It's emitting frequency energy. All I'm doing with my consciousness is amplifying the frequency so that I can create this reality that I can feel. And as I start feeling, I feel the experience of heat coming from my hands. And if I align it with my third eye, I can feel a connection between that heat in my hand and what's pulsating in my third eye. In the third eye, it feels like a magnetic pull. In my hand, it feels like warmth, heat, fire. Now you stay this way, and you set good intentions. I am healthy. I am strong. I am courageous. Now, each one of those words has a picture to it. You have to picture that in your imagination. Because you are creating new pictures in your head now. Because you've gotten rid of all the old pictures, and now you're recreating yourself with your own pictures. What would you like to be? How would you like to act in this world? How would you like people to perceive you? And so you start qualifying those pictures with the words, I am. I am love. I'm a loving being. I'm a peaceful being. I'm a generous being. I'm friendly. I'm strong. I'm quick. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I'm creative. I am creative. That's the biggest one that you want to hold in your consciousness, because you are. And you amplify that consciousness into every cell in your body. Because your cell, this physical body, is registering all that data. It's going throughout your whole network system, neural network system. The whole nervous system is being charged with that new information. And it's going into the frequencies of the life force of each cell in the body and all the microbiome. So there's an alignment of energy that's allowing this thing called understanding to open. And you begin to see the true reality that's around you. Because with new understandings, you're perceiving life around you anew. You have the ability to correct every system that you think is wrong with yourself in your body, and you can correct them. But you have to understand certain principles about the body, about the energy system. It's a conscious system. These things called the chakras are actually wheels of consciousness. There's just portals of energy that govern certain parts of for different reasons. I won't go into that, but they're serving a purpose. And these are almost like dimensional realities where you evolve your consciousness. Because you start there at the root and you work your way up. The second and the third, right? The solar plexus, the heart, and then the throat, and here. These are all dimensional conscious realities. Okay? Now, the idea is to balance all of them up. Because you don't just want to have one that's all the way closed. And this is when you close most of those and you're just living off of one always has to be oscillating in order for you to survive. Now, when these are closed, you're in a state of unknowingness. You don't know. You just don't know. You're living in a state of ignorance. You see life in front of you and you're ignoring the reality that's before you. You look at a plant and you ignore the physicality and the dynamic life of a life force that it is before you. You're in ignorance. It's not a derogatory word. It's a state of positioning yourself, of ignoring the reality that is around you and inside of you. You see, the kingdom of heaven is truly within you, and it's all a state of consciousness. The kingdom of heaven is a state of consciousness. It's a universal consciousness that we're all a part of. And so we can come to these higher levels of understanding by opening up first and balancing and charging in a positive way with our intentions, the use of our friends, the earth. And we embed that information into that lower chakra. You change the reality there in the energetic field with your imagination. You imagine a life that's being supported and that you're striving always in a direction of improving the quality of your life. And you put those images there in that chakra, and they're there. They radiate. And that energy is given to all the cells in the body to say, hey, this is the reality that we're living in. Let's shape up. Let's be in alignment. Let's serve this purpose and this function to create that reality for the experience of having that reality come true and be your experience. See, as a creator, you can create just about anything. Now, in the root, you are very limited. There's a very limited capacity there because you have to evolve your consciousness into the higher, and that's why it's the second chakra upward, just below, 2 inches below the navel. And that's another form of consciousness. You've just risen from the red to the orange to the second level of consciousness. And in that, and when you oscillate from that perspective, life has changed. You're no longer, well, you are to a degree, but you've elevated your consciousness and you're having new experiences. And so as you go through the progression of spiritual consciousness, spiritual conscious evolution, you move up the chakra system, this body that's been imprinted, and this is the blueprint of our conscious evolution. Okay? We all start there at the root. And when we want to expand and experience something new, we ask the right questions and we move into a higher consciousness. And we get into the second chakra. And we operate our lives from that energy source. And then until we evolve and we have some experiences and we say, you know, I need to make some adjustments. And you make some adjustments and boom, you're into the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. And the energy is yellow. And everything is yellow in your life. You got gold flowing in your life. You are harmonizing with that frequency. Now you also always are also oscillating at the frequencies below that. There's always that connection. Okay? There's always a stream of information that's coming from way down there and to the second and to the third. So you're just expanding your experience to a higher level of awareness. Okay? It's not that you lose the ones below, you actually just are moving on beyond that point until you get into the heart. And in the heart is where you connect with nature in the heart. Because you fall in love with nature, you fall in love with the beauty of nature. You just look at all the colors and the patterns and the geometry and the methods that it chooses to grow and become the artistic beauty that it truly is. And especially when you have those life forms in an arrangement in a backyard, and you've got the different patterns of colors and beauty, and you've just created the most beautiful environment. You go back there and you just look at it and you go, wow, it elevates your consciousness with the beauty of its presence. This is the environment that we want to live in. This is the environment that we want to create. We want to create and accentuate the beauty that's already there. That's as stewards of this world, and we should start seeing ourselves as being stewards. Recruit yourself to be the next steward in this world, to care for this world, to help be a part of the solution of creating a solution, creating a solution that will take the place of a problem that is there in front of you. You can only tackle that which is in front of you. If you're being confronted with an issue, that means you're qualified to handle that issue. And you have to just go through the process of grounding yourself. Okay? Ground myself. I imagine myself sending from the root, glowing red, and I send a tube all the way down into the ground. And I ground myself to the Mother Earth. And I receive that energy, and it supports me, keeps me very grounded. Now I feel good about myself. I feel good about handling this situation. Okay. Then you take the energy of the sun, which is a golden light, and you imagine that light coming into the crown chakra and all the way down, meeting here in the heart. And the heart is radiating that energy throughout the whole system, all the way up and all the way down. As above, so below. And so you can consciously take that energy and concentrate it there at the root chakra. And what you're doing when you do that, you are revitalizing that part of the body with a life force essence, a life-giving essence that your cells are experiencing on that level. They're being transformed, they're becoming a stronger cell. That's the dynamic of what's taking place, all via consciousness. Your intention is creating that experience. Okay? But this, what I'm showing you, is how you can experience this for yourself. Because when you take yourself through this process and you begin to put your hand over the root chakra, you'll feel heat there. You can try this. You will feel it. And what you're feeling is the energy of your activated consciousness at that level. As you begin to move up the scale from the heart and you represent your life, you truly represent your life because you are making decisions about changing. You're saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to live a higher, conscious, mindful lifestyle. I'm going to operate in a principle of love. And when you're there, you're a safe soul. You qualify yourself to go to the next level. Because your life is to do no harm to another being. Not even a creepy little spider. I love those spiders. You always pick them up and take them outside. Practice that. That is an act of love. You're caring for that life form that has a right to be living because it's serving a purpose and keeping all the other insects and pesky guys coming into your home. You see, it's all a matter of perspective. But you get to these higher levels and you move into the throat chakra. And in the throat chakra, you just have an ability to articulate that which needs to be understood. And your creative apparatus begins to ignite. Because communication is a creative process, actually. They're almost like one and the same. When you are communicating, you are actually creating. And when you think about creating, well, that's something that needs to be communicated. One and the same, wouldn't you say? So your communication is your creative ability. You think things in your head before you actually speak them. I mean, that's where they originate, at least. Not of your own doing, as most people would like to believe. You're allowing yourself to sit in the command center of your own consciousness. And there's a greater universal intelligence that's flowing through it, and you get to direct the energy of that creative power through under your guide, under your direction, your authority. You're the man in charge. You're the captain of your ship. And so you can steer, you can steer your life in any direction that you like. But you're going to want to do it in a direction that, a direction that you love. Something that you love doing. What thrills you? What gives you the energy to get up out of bed and to face another day doing what you love to do? You need to define that for yourself. And when you define that for yourself, you give yourself a purpose for living and affecting, because it's always going to be affecting the other person or the people around you in the community and abroad. It could be anything. You offer your talent as a singer, as a writer, as a scientist. So you have your gifts, and you need to discover what those gifts are. And when you discover them, you give a graceful acknowledgement to the Creator that has given you that gift. The Supreme Being, the Presence that I am. And this is the way you need to look at yourself. Using the language, a spiritual language, of recognizing the presence that I am. You think about it. This presence that I am is the same presence that you are. You say it. When you say that, you're awakening that presence. It slowly awakens like a seed, growing and growing. And it's experienced in these higher dimensions of the chakra system. Because when you come up to here, and you start to open up this third eye, well, things really start to get turned on. And you realize your power to perceive reality as it truly exists. And you see the whole thing. And so the thing that was enslaving you no longer enslaves you. Because you see it for what it is. And many people need to come up this ladder, and experience life up here from this perspective, looking down there. And once you reach these higher levels now, because you can't go back. Once your eyes are open, and you know the truth. And that's an empowering thing. And you begin to become a different person in this world, because you're living your life with a purpose now. And you are creating some beautiful works that everybody else can't experience. Like a tree that offers its apples and its oranges and its lemons, the fruits of its labor, fulfilling its purpose, the give of itself for someone like you to enjoy. That's a principle found in nature. And we can model that system and create systems based on the principles of nature. And that's where we really need to understand how we fix what's going on in this world. And we can do it very quickly if we just evolve our own personal consciousness. And that's what this is really all about. Because when we do that, we find ourselves experiencing life in a very real way that we want more of. And we want to continue to always expand and always become a better version of ourselves. Just like the way Kobe lived it. I watched a video of him when he was just before 17. He was making a decision to go off to college or the NBA. And then I watched a video where Jay Shetty was interviewing Kobe at Granity office. And the life of Kobe in that form is the same Kobe in the 70-year-old experience. Same mental determination of an imagination and living and experiencing what works for him. He knew how to live his life. He knew how to guide and direct it. He knew what it was going to take to become as the great basketball player that he became. He imagined being that first. And then he had the drive, and he says, can I do this? And he proved it to himself that he could. And the reason why that he could is because he loved it. He loved the game. He loved what he did. It drove him. And this is the example of a lifestyle that we need to model our own lives by. We have to fall in love with that which we feel we want to excel and be the best in that area. To be the best, whatever it is that you deem worthy of your life that makes you happy. It will make you happy doing the things that you do in service to humanity. And if everyone was happy doing what they wanted to do with their life, can you imagine what kind of world that we would be living in? I'm almost going on an hour here. And I can imagine that I can go on for 2 or 3. Maybe I'll think about doing a podcast program. Maybe I would love to be the person who would deliver this type of information to people and be a beacon of a new perspective of life. Because I know there are thousands of people out there who want a better life, who are looking to improve the quality of their life. And if you understood my story, where I came from, and realize how far I've actually come to understanding the true meaning of life, and trying to understand what freedom is. So maybe there's someone out there who's thinking, I know there's someone out there thinking about killing themselves, that's for sure. I know that there are many people out there with depression and anxiety. I know that there are many people out there who are on the path, the spiritual path, and they are there really wanting to just free themselves, and they want to know the truth. And so if what I'm saying resonates with you, and it should, only because it's the truth, and the truth is what sets you free. So the truth is a freeing frequency. You can feel that, and it resonates with you because it's a part of you. I'm just mirroring what you already know inside of you. You just need to come into this desire to live your life on a grander scale, the way Kobe did it. He carried his love passion into his storytelling and trying to raise up a new generation of athletes, children, to go about experiencing life in a way that helps them meet the challenges that they're about to face. And he did that with the storytelling. And so we need to create those types of systems, exactly that. Those types of systems that help give the tools for the younger generation to help evolve their consciousness, to improve their actions in their lives, to help find them their own meaning of their life. We don't define that for them. They define it for themselves. You have to only provide the many options. You have to give them the potential possibility. And then let them reach for the stars. Let them say, this is what I want to be. This is what makes me happy. And support that dream in your child. And give them all the support that's going to help shape that until they maybe evolve out of that and reach for another dream. And that's okay. Because then now you can support them in that dream. And so they have this pattern of thinking that mother And Father's always going to be there to support them. Always. No matter what direction He's going in. As long as it's being a service to other people, affecting and experiencing itself as a talent that is a shining light, that is serving a purpose in other people's lives, then let's support that. And we change a society around us that is very supporting. And we create world systems that support the livelihood of everyone on this planet. And we create these systems not just for ourselves, but for those people 1,000 years into the future. What kind of future are we going to leave our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren? The future of humanity. What systems, what level of technology are we going to give them so that they can take that technology and take it even further, always expanding to a greater version? Yeah, that was the life of Kobe Bryant. The point that I'm making here we have an opportunity in this time of world history to make decisions that move humanity in a new direction. Because the quality of consciousness by the majority of the people will determine the fate of humanity. And so we have an opportunity to start learning a better way. And it's going to take information like this to help spark the light of life inside of you. And you will only experience it for yourself if you do the practice. And the practice will be before you. I will share it with you. You choose on your own volition to do and experience for yourself. And when you come to these higher levels of reality, these awarenesses, well, then we can have a conversation and expand that conversation and really start changing the reality that we live in. And so here we are. I'm going to end this now because we're going right on 1 hour. Okay. I want to thank you for listening, and if you so choose, subscribe, because there's going to be a lot more content that's coming your way. Now, I want to take this up to a higher level with the podcast system, so I'll figure out a way to do just that. Everything that I'm sharing with you is coming from my heart. And I'm here to be of service to the rest of humanity. To first be the example, as Kobe says. You have to be an example of the love that you wish to see in the world. With that, I bid you a good day. amazing how this technology is failing to respond. Off, 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 on. Presence that I am turns us off now. Now. Wow, I guess I've got a defective phone here. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to continue to talk. So, what else can be said? I don't want to go too much further on, but I do want to say that there are methods that are to be learned, and that there are tools that are available that help us evolve our consciousness. Okay, there are books that we can read, and there are classes that we can take, and there are just things that we can apply to our own lives that'll give us the experience of actually evolving our consciousness and developing a better version of ourselves every single day of our lives. Every day is a new potential to become a better version of our lives. The more we give love, the more we receive the support of the universe. That's what you need to remember. So there are ways of getting into these states, and there are ways of accelerating the process. And those are advanced processes that will come later in your life. But first you need to find the fundamentals of the basic principles of life to just grasp and reorient yourself into a spiritual consciousness. You literally have to have a spiritual consciousness, meaning that you are thinking in spiritual terms. You're thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And you're thinking in terms of quantum physics. Really, it's at that beyond quantum, it's at the quantum level where everything is energy. And the energy around you is very malleable. And a big part of that is really under your control. Because the more you heal yourself, you are actually healing the rest of humanity. And that's what you have to realize. That if there's anything that you want to do for humanity, well then do it to yourself. And that's the whole truth about that principle. Doing unto others as you want what others do unto you. That's a principle that if you do to yourself, then others will do that as well. They have the same experience. And humanity's popping, pop, 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 into higher levels of consciousness. Because one other person just burst into this higher awareness, and it created a shockwave, and it hit me, and boom, I'm there. I feel an acceleration of conscious awareness every day. And you need to be moving your consciousness in that trajectory, every day always expanding, because that's the nature and the flow of the universe. And we're a part of that universe. We're an arm in the galaxy, so to speak. Actually, a very fraction of it, in a holographic sense. Because we live in a fractal reality, where the macrocosm is the greatest geometry expressed in the microcosm, the very smallest life forms in existence, which is the microorganisms. And in between all that, here we are as human beings, gracing this planet. Of course, not understanding the environment that we're living in, but nevertheless, it's an environment that we can at least look at and begin to take in the information. It's a library of information. And when you start taking in that information, you begin to start perceiving reality on a whole different level. And so this is where we need to take our humanity, to these higher levels of reality, understanding. The understanding is going to create that reality for us. And if you don't understand it in that way, then that's the reality that will not be created. I hope you understand what I just said. Because you are the man who are woman, person, spirit, really. You are the spirit force of life that is directing your consciousness. You are directing your consciousness in a creative way, always. So be mindful of the way you create your day. Make it positive. Make it with good intentions. Oscillate it always with the signature of love, of friendliness. And when you do that, your life will begin to expand into a different experience of living. You will know how to live your life according to nature. And we all just improve the quality of our way of life. And it starts with us. If we learn something new, guess what? We get to write about it. We get to talk about it. And we get to share it with others so that they can experience the same thing. And that's exactly what I'm doing here in this video. A video that just doesn't want to stop. I would cut it now, but if that was all the information that I needed to add in, then by all means, I've served my purpose, and I bid you adieu. And we're still going. Okay. I guess maybe there's something more that needs to be said. And what needs to be said is where you're at in your life right now is a decision that you need to make for your life. I hope that you are a person right now who has been looking for answers all of your life. This is who this message is for. You're the person who's been seeking. You've been living a lot of pain. You've been living a lot of suffering, a lot of limitations, because you keep believing in the negative experiences of your life. And you don't know any better, because that's the only reality you know. And you don't have to be living that way. You don't have to live that way anymore, my friend. I know this from first-hand experience. Right? I'm coming out of that reality, that which you are in. I've been growing for the past 43 years of my life, coming out of a very dark hole. And now I'm coming into the light for the first time. And nature is showing me how to move into that light. And it's a recognition of the answers asked. What is the meaning of this life that I'm living? What is my purpose in this world? How do I find it? How do I live a life of happiness? And you're struggling to understand the meaning of those questions. You're asking it for a reason. You're looking for that solution. You're looking for the truth. You're looking for the truth that will, hopefully, in your mind, set you free. The first recognition, I'm telling you, my friend, the first recognition, you have to forgive yourself. Give recognition to the presence of God as being the presence of your life. Make a connection there. There are ways of doing that in meditation, slow movement meditation, standing meditation, action meditation. It's called getting into the zone. In everything that you do, you're conscious and in awareness of a greater process of life flowing through you. It's a process of thoughts that guide you. I am the master within, governing and controlling your thought processes in full Christ perfection, as you wish it to be. This is the attitude that you hold on to. You're willing to relinquish all your negativity, the old life, the old paradigm, and you're willing to trade that in for new life. But it's a life that you do not understand. It's a life that you have to grow in understanding with. That means you have to put yourself into action. You have to push yourself into a direction of wanting to have that experience for yourself. And when you do that, you allow yourself to experience more of life around you. Life will always present to you the things that you need to overcome. And your overcoming is a decision to use love to overcome that thing. That's the only choice that you have to make. As bad as things look, you choose love. What would love do? How would love act? How would love just allow things to be what they are? Because these are all lessons that we all have to learn on our own, and everything that's presented to you is a lesson for you to learn, and that's the way you need to perceive it. And when you perceive it from that perspective, you're really pushing the envelope and saying, what can this thing teach me? What is this thing wanting to teach me that I can understand and learn and become all the wiser in my life, so that I don't recreate that cycle over and over again. And so your life experiences is what's evolving your consciousness. You're looking at situations that require a decision that needs to be made. Do you conform? Do you capitulate? Or do you hold ground? Do you stay in your zone? Do you become a neutral energy and just allow things be where they are and not react to them? Let's just see them for what they are. I know the tendency is to quiver and to feel the energy of that memory that took place many years ago. And you get charged. And you start to feel that anxiety coming up inside of you. Well, if you were to change that perspective and say, hey, this is my body charging me up to get excited, not fearful. So that every time you feel that anxiety, what you are perceiving as anxiety, but it's simply an energy that's being excited in a way that's trying to get your attention, to move into a higher state of perception. Because life is always trying to heal itself. Life is always trying to maintain the equilibrium of life and harmony everywhere in the universe. It's a perfect universe, you see. That's why Christ said, be ye perfect, for your Father in heaven is perfect. See? Excuse me. So, many people look at that statement and they say, well, maybe he didn't understand what he was talking about, because I'm not living in a perfect world. How could that statement be true? Well, if you look at the reality is that, could it be that your perception of reality is flawed and that you just don't understand the universal truth of life? The very framework that God had created, this whole thing, God created a perfect reality. And he created a perfect system. And we are living in that perfect system. And all we have to do is just realize it. You see, it's there, it's all there. And we've been foisted a perception of reality that enslaves us to the physicality of this reality. Hmm? And so we need to break the chains of that conscious awareness and move into these higher levels so that we can just start living our lives as the spiritual beings that we truly are in this physical body. We take control of this physical body. We command this physical body. We maintain this physical body in the greatest health because we know just when to exercise and how to move the body, always taking it to the next level of endurance, of potential, capability. And we do that for our own personal consciousness. So we start becoming a well-rounded person. We start becoming the thing that we were designed to be in this world. We fall into the perfection of God's plans, into the system of perfection that He created. And we began to see the perfection. We began to see the perfection when we feel it. And when we feel it, we see actually the beauty of it. And you go, wow, holy cow, never saw that before. But now I see it. Man, it's beautiful. Your consciousness just exploded into a higher, wider dimension with that realization. And that could just happen every single day of your life for all eternity. Having one realization after another, expanding into a higher consciousness every time you have that realization. There are things to be realized. And when you're realizing, you are seeing through your real eyes. You're perceiving reality correctly. And your life has changed. You're not the same person that you were before. You're not thinking the same thoughts. You're not creating those realities anymore. You're creating new realities based on the new information that you have. And it's a higher reality because it's an environment that's being created by your consciousness. You moved into a higher dimensional conscious reality just by thinking about going in that direction. And you got to experience it. And based on that experience, it's producing thoughts at a higher level. And those thoughts are being created at that level, the reality around you. That's how it works. And maybe that's the reason why this thing didn't turn off 18 minutes ago. Because this information needs to get out there, and people need to understand that there's a greater potential to be experienced in your life. Yeah. I don't know how much further I should go on with this. I'm going to try to turn this off for the third time. And if it doesn't, well then, I think there's probably another person out there that probably needs to hear something, needs to know something. You give it to me telepathically. And I will be open to that. And whatever information that comes is going to be for you, my friend. Okay? But first, I'm going to see if I can turn this off, because we need to end this. I'm going to